going on, everybody? Hope everyone is having a great night. I got my main man, the StuCast. We're going live, talk some Canes football. We'll be also talking some college football talk as well. Stu, a lot of great things going down in Coral Gables. I know you're very informed with the moves as well. But let me just refresh your memory. We got Bob Shoop, former Broyles Award finalist down at Mississippi State in 2018-2019. Travis Williams, just named inside linebackers coach down at Miami. He was the co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach at Auburn. And then we added Travaris Robinson, co-DC at South Carolina and defensive backs coach, plus Jess Simpson, who was a part of the Atlanta Falcons organization as well. What do you think about this, Stu? I know you were really worried, per se. You didn't like the idea of Manny Diaz being defensive coordinator and, obviously retaining Blake Baker. I think everybody could agree, but that was the last time we spoke. Now look at all these changes.
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there. First, there's going to be some bad to this. There's going to be a bad part to this, and I'm going to lead up to it.
Okay.
But I want to start with the good. I want to accentuate the good here because that's what we do. What's going on, Kyle? We're here to promote the Canes and the Canes family. Yeah, it's a real coaching staff, and Adam said it. I mean, these guys are upgrades. They've got good histories. They've got the pedigrees, and more importantly, with Williams and Robinson coming in, that's a recruiting on paper. That's a recruiting dynamo, right? I think my guest this week on the StuCast, Jay Boy, he's a real big-time SEC podcast show host. He gets everybody on there. Pretty much if you're on the SEC network, you're on his show at some point. Just had Feinbaum on. He's a real knowledgeable guy. We broke those down from what he knew about them at Auburn, at South Carolina, because Robinson coached at Auburn for a time or spent some time at Auburn.
He went to
either
Auburn.
Played. Yeah, he played. And
I
thought he spent some time as an analyst or a graduate and then moved on.
Yeah.
So he knows what these guys are about. We go into it on the show, dropping tomorrow morning, the StuCast, wherever you get your podcasts. But I think, got a plug. Need them clicks, brother. I think those guys on paper should work out. And even on the field, they're upgrades, right? They're the way they scheme and everything. Bob Shoop is a 40-degree day to me. I don't think much about it.
He's one and done, baby. Bob Shoop is one and done.
Everywhere he goes, he's there for a year. And if you took a job at Michigan last year, I think it says a lot about you as a coach. I'll leave it at that. But he's got a pedigree, and maybe he can help. Maybe that experience for whatever his role is going to be. I absolutely abhor Manny Diaz taking over the DC role. But we'll get to it. The Canes are lined up defensively to be better, right?
Right.
It's not only this year because we saw a lot of really bad technical stuff on the field. Yeah. Linebackers just running into dudes, D linemen just pushing straight forward, running into blocks. We've seen that. We've seen that story. Maybe this year is the year that, some of that gets tightened up and you don't give up 8,000 yards on the ground to North Carolina, right? My problem comes with, and I've seen it on like Twitter, and shout out to Brad. I love Brad. Brad posted something, and I think he was dead serious that you guys got a top 10 staff, and I don't think that whatsoever. I think we're so far away from that. I think personally, Manny Diaz is. I'm leaning towards that he's probably not going to be the guy to right the ship, but I want to give him some time. I do. I want to give him some time. I could be wrong. Hey, I've been proven wrong plenty of times. Leaning towards it.
Here's the thing, It's tough to predicate if a program has a top 10 coaching staff. I guess in the sense of like how you do well recruiting and developing those players, because like recruiting rankings,
That's all you got, though,
show if
right?
you have a good coach, if you have a good staff.
That's all you got,
Recruiting
though,
plays
right?
a big role.
It
Like,
does. It does. But what have these guys done at Miami yet? This
They
year
have
has
not.
been a lot.
They just got there. They just got there. They have
Just
to
got
prove themselves. Yes.
Yes, and we got to coach some kids up. We can't be playing this game of, hey, we're sending dudes to the NFL. Oh, where'd you get them? Oh, UCLA, Oklahoma, Houston. That's where we get them.
It's a great pitch to other players who want to come from the transfer portal to a program. It is a good pitch.
But you can't build a winner through the transfer program.
It's
that's it.
It's a Band-Aid like we spoke about. You rip off the Band-Aid, it could be healed, could be infected, or it could still be bleeding, or maybe semi-healed. You have to develop your high school recruits. We both agree on that.
Well, yeah, I think you go back to Howard Schnellenberger. Yeah, top probably on paper, I'd give sure. Top, you won't get a fight out of top 25, whatever. I'll dig with that because I think Robinson and Williams have proven themselves that
I think it's a top 15 staff on paper.
Wherever you want to put it. I'm a guy that I need to see results first.
Right, exactly. And that's fair. But, we added 3 defensive coordinators, Stu. This offseason, Bob Shute, Travaris Robinson was co-DC, Travis Williams was co-DC at Auburn. Those are from respected programs they were defensive coordinators at as well. Bob Shute was at Penn State, Tennessee, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Travaris Robinson, Travis Williams, Auburn. Those are respectful programs.
So let me ask you a question then in response, because I think my response will show clear with my questions. Paul, you're a pretty knowledgeable guy. Does Will Muschamp run the same defense that Manny Diaz likes to?
No, they run a different defense.
Hey, does Kevin Steele run a defense that Manny Diaz likes to?
No, they do not.
All right. Hey, did Don Brown, Dr. Blitz, did he like to run the same defense that Manny? So that's what I'm getting. So now you got to get a bunch of different guys that have different ideas about blitz packages, about schemes, about stunts, about whatever. Where guys are going to be on the field, and they got to all get down with Manny Diaz's vision, which up to now, I don't know where I don't know if just technical, upgrades on the field are going to get you there with Manny. I don't know. Yeah, great moves, 100%. Still concerned about some things here. I don't think it's all roses and sunshine.
I think what's going to happen. Look, Manny Diaz is he just brought in his first full recruiting cycle, right? Because Mark Richt retired after the season. Then you have that's not a full recruiting cycle. This 2021 class was Manny Diaz's first full recruiting cycle he just brought in. I think they were just outside of the top 10 at 12. If you bring in Isaiah Walker, they crashed the top 10, I want to say. Could be wrong on that with the point system. This 2022 class, Miami should dominate in recruiting in the state of Florida, in South Florida specifically. Travaris Robinson has great ties in the South Florida area. Travis Williams, he's been recruiting at Auburn. They love to get Florida kids. He's going to do a great job. Miami's going to kill it.
I should hit this Texas Tech bet against Oklahoma, right? I should, but things happen. Life happens. Life comes at you quick. You're going to be able to tell real quick because you've got 3 4-star corners in Miami-Dade County that all have Clemson, Georgia, Bama offers. You're going to find out real quick how far that's going to get you. But, I mean, it's still a very plus thing. I just, I see everybody going wild over it, and it's like, I got to see it. It's improvement.
It's a big improvement.
I agree.
It's a big improvement.
Still, you know what? I would like it more if you gave Williams the whole DC. Gave him the whole DC thing, and Manny got away from it. Because I'll be honest, I need a little bit of change of pace on this defensive scheme type thing.
Well, we
Because
might.
Blake was, you know, Blake went everywhere Manny went, and Manny had him on the defensive staff,
Right.
and those guys were singing the same tune, and I need a little bit of a new song to listen to.
It's going to be a very interesting season next year.
I mean, it's all for naught if De'Aaron King is not 100%.
No, he'll be ready to go by July. That's
Okay.
official. Manny Navarro from The Athletic had him on my show this past week. The expectation is July. He'll be ready to go. So
that's excellent. Yeah.
Now,
so the whole season hinges on the Achilles tendon of De'Aaron King. You know, so it's a precarious spot to be in. But I think the defense improves. You know, it's an offensive game. I need to see some moves there.
Now, Stu, we averaged 34 points per game in a COVID-19 season. We didn't have spring football. We got De'Aaron King coming back. Rhett Lashley's second year with this unit. We got Charleston Rambo coming in as well. I know you like Charleston Rambo a lot.
I do. I like Rhett Lashley.
That's your number 2 wide receiver right there. And you like Mike Harley as well.
I like Mike Harley. I think the offensive line, I mean, it can't be any worse than they were this year.
Well, it got better from last year, believe it or not. I mean, it did get better.
I mean, they got to have some kind of improvement. My thing is really at the end of the day, De'Aaron King, if he's out, well, you got Jake Garcia, and you're going to throw the kid into the deep end of the pool immediately. You know, I mean, hey, freshman QBs work out from time to time, and see what happens. But I don't. It's a thin line that Miami's treading right now. And it's all the marbles are in the De'Aaron King basket. It's a concern.
We'll see. I mean, you know, we'll see what happens spring football, you know, July when it comes, the update. We'll see what happens.
And I don't think Shoop will be the DC next year.
He jumps everywhere. I don't want him being defensive coordinator. He leaves after a year. Everyone knows.
And look, so I made a statement about him going to Michigan. Last year, everybody knew that Jim Harbaugh was a lame duck coach. Hadn't signed an extension. Was the only coach in college football with less than a year on his contract. Still hadn't signed, and you join that cast of characters, especially with Don Brown being all on the outs. Man, that's a weird move, especially being a DC at a Broyles, finalist outfit. And look, Mississippi State, they turn out defenses, they get players, they get athletes. That's been the trend for like the last 10 years, whether he was there or not. They've got a thing going there with defenses, and they just find talent.
Hey, Stu, I'm really excited because this is the first time the Miami Hurricanes football program has had a
it's good
staff.
It's good. No, it's good.
Like we just stated.
I'm not raining on the parade here. I think it's great. I just think
I know we were talking about like top 10 programs. You thought they're not a top 10 coaching staff right now. You need to see more. I think it's fighting for a top 15, top 10 through top 15 coaching staff.
I think
I'm going on paper.
On paper, I'd probably put it third in the ACC.
Fair, because like North Carolina's running backs coach just went to Alabama. Phil Longo's their OC. Dre Bly's their defensive backs coach. I think he coaches cornerback specifically. Mac Brown's their head coach. I mean, they have a good staff. They was the former DC at an Army.
I think
defensive coordinator.
You put Texas and Oklahoma have better staff.
Right. Just because finances, they're going to pay down any.
Ohio State does.
Ohio State, Alabama does.
Yeah, Oklahoma. Ole Miss.
I would say Texas A&M has a very solid. I love their staff.
Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Kentucky. Believe it or not, Kentucky recruits and they turn up players, especially on that
I
O
don't
line.
think Kentucky has a good staff. I don't think so.
Oh, Kentucky has a great staff.
I think
Vince Marrow is a guy that's been offered $1 million
Lamar Thomas
gigs.
was their wide receivers coach for quite a while. He bounced after 3 years. They don't have a good staff in Kentucky.
Okay.
They don't have a good staff. They can recruit. They do well with what they have, but I'm not. If you take Kentucky, Miami,
are we talking about turning out talent, or is it just based on recruiting? I'm getting mixed up.
Okay, recruiting is what you pay your staff to do. That's how you bring in talent. Now, developing players like Pat Fitzgerald, we mentioned, it's very hard to get recruiters and developers, or a developer and a good recruiter. It's just it's very difficult, Stu.
I'm looking at you blankly because I'm just like I'm misunderstanding. So if you're a good recruiter, and look, hey, let's pull up South Carolina's. Let's pull up South Carolina's defensive stats last year. Let's pull up Auburn's defensive stats last. So look, I need you turning out talent, and I need you identifying talent, right? It's something Mark D'Antonio did. It's something Pat Fitzgerald does. Yes. It's something that, I could say the old ball coach down in Tuscaloosa, down in T-Town. Spurrier did it. You find talent, develop it. And there's schools, Kentucky's one of them, that does it. And yes, Miami on paper, much improved. Let's see him do it now. I don't want to see transfers starting on my D line and at wide out and at quarterback and at corner and at safety. I don't want transfers. I want kids south of I-4, right? I want kids in Atlanta. I want kids from Mississippi. I want kids from Tennessee. That's how the U rebuilds. Consolidate, get the best talent of the talent south of I-4, and then start picking kids from Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio. Go out and get kids. You can't just be a local deal anymore. And
I think you can be a local deal, but you need to evaluate the under the radar recruits to go to your program.
There's too many. Look, if Miami had 80 scholarships, they probably would get all the recruits, right? There's so much talent in Florida that it's just hard. It's hard to identify.
I think there was like a map I saw of like most NFL players actively or something with the NFL. Florida led it. I don't know the exact title of it. If Florida beat out California, every state you can think of.
It's just a ton of talent. Of talent. And that's one thing after we were talking after the first recruiting period, the early signing period, you got one kid out of the state of Florida. You got one. Come on. We got to do better. We got to start increasing brand awareness and start grabbing.
I think you got to stay in your state because look, Jimbo Fisher, what he did wrong towards the end of his time at Florida State was started going out and going after the star-rated players, let's say from the Northeast, from the Midwest, from California, instead of sticking with his principles and evaluating kids. He used to take Devontae Freeman was like a third-string backup running back at Miami Central Senior High School. Nobody wanted Devontae Freeman. None of the big three schools besides Florida State. They took a chance on him, and the rest is history, Stu. They used to steal under-the-radar recruits from Miami, and they would evaluate those players. That's why Florida State, towards the end of Jimbo Fisher's era, started trending downward. Then he jumped ship to Texas A&M, and he's doing a great job there.
So the goal is for Miami, right, at the end of the day, yes, if you want to consolidate in the near term on just South Florida kids, that's fine. That's fine. That's great. You got to consolidate a base. You got to mend some fences, build some bridges, shake some hands, kiss some babies, whatever you got to do to get in with these schools, get into these high schools and meet with the coaches and develop that relationship. But at the same time, for where Miami wants to be and where they want to go is become a much larger brand, right? You don't want 8-3 and, we lost by 20 to Clemson in the ACC title game. I don't think that that's what y'all want. Y'all want the ACC championship to be expected. And right now the expectation is, hey, we want to just contend for the right to go to the game, right? That's where we want to be. We want to be in the conversation about being in the ACC championship. That's great, but the expectation needs to be higher. We're getting to the point. I always say this.
Baby steps.
It's baby steps, but it happens so quick. Michigan State, for example. Mel Tucker, I love him to death. I think he's doing a great job. Last year, I threw it out the window. I don't care what happened last year. Great that we beat Michigan. Great that we beat Northwestern. Really cool. Really cool. Great. This year, I'll start evaluating. The clock starts because I realized that he got dealt such a bad hand. But in about 2-3 years, I expect that we're contending for the Big Ten championship, right? And we've got a monster in our division. We got to go through Ohio State to get to the championship game. We got to go through Penn State. Not much of a monster anymore. Little kitty cat now. And that's where my expectation is, right? I feel like Miami, you gave Manny a year. You had last year. And now we're coming up to the time where it's like, okay, now we need to be in the championship game. Now we need to be moving forward. Long term, you look at Ohio State. Ohio's a great recruiting spot. It's one of the top centralized places. I mean, you look at what Ohio's producing. Ohio kids pretty much fund a whole ton of schools in the Midwest. Like, I mean, most of the schools have like 10 to 12 Ohio kids on the team. Ohio State goes out of state all the time. They'll get the top.
Go to South Florida all the time.
Yeah, they'll go to South Florida. They'll go to Texas. They got the top 2 players in Texas coming up next year. They got the top kid from Washington. They'll go down to Arizona. They'll go down to North Carolina and try and get a kid. And that's what they do. That's where Miami needs to be. That's how you build something that's long-lasting, right? You start spreading your tentacles across the country, and that's how you create the recruiting network. I mean, look, there's a lot of people that are watching this that played NCAA 13, 14. You got to leave the state. You got to leave the state at some point. Start below I-4, work your way out. I think T-Will, T-Rob, they're going to get you into Atlanta, Georgia. They're going to get you into South Carolina. They're going to get you into Alabama. There you go.
Hey, I'm very excited what's going on down in Coral Gables, too. First time I can even remember, probably since maybe 2005, we have a complete staff in Coral Gables. I'm excited, Stu.
I hate Texas.
I think you're going to see a different Miami Hurricanes football team. I'll say that. I think it's going to be a different team. I know you lost like $100 on college basketball. I never bet on Big 12 college basketball. I mean, that's another subject.
I hate them.
That's another subject.
It's a fire of 1,000 suns.
The last time Texas Tech was good at basketball was when Bobby Knight was their head coach, by the way. That was what?
Not the year they went to the national championship game? Like,
oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I forgot. That was like a Cinderella run. Texas Tech isn't known for basketball. They're not known for anything. It's just like a school Cliff Kingsbury and Patrick Mahomes went at.
Calm down, Russell Crowe, with the Cinderella man stuff.
I mean, like, Texas Tech is like a nobody in sports. Like, Cliff Kingsbury went 500 and got an NFL head coaching job with Pat Mahomes. Baker Mayfield went there. Did you know that?
Yeah.
For like a year.
You ever seen the video? And I encourage everybody to look this up. You know, if you got to turn away and then come back to the show, please do. Just look up Baker Mayfield arrested. And it's a wonderful video. It's like, I don't want to spoil it, but Baker gets just.
Yeah, and then he takes off after, right? He takes off after.
No, he starts running, and then a police officer just like trucks him, sticks him into a bush. It's fantastic.
All right, Stu, we got a few minutes left on our weekly show. Anything you wanted to touch up on in the college football world?
Yeah, a few quick hits. Our boy Pat Fitzgerald, 10-year extension. Shout
Good for
out.
him. Good for
Yeah,
him. He's gonna
he'll
get.
be there
He
forever.
should be the Chicago Bears' new head coach eventually.
He turned down the Lions. The Lions
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
don't.
interview him.
Stu, I mean, let's be real. They had Calvin Johnson for how long? Like 9 or 10 years, and they did
Yeah, we
nothing.
made him
They had
quit. We
Matthew
made
Stafford
Barry
as
quit.
his quarterback. Like Detroit isn't it's not an easy organization to win with.
Hey, believe me, I got the king right above me. But real quick before I get into it, what is up with Avante Williams? Do you know?
He needs to get clear for practice right now. The staff, the what's it called? The athletic training staff, they're working with him, physical therapy and stuff like that per se. He needs to get cleared. He has practice in like a non-contact gear. He just needs to get cleared, ready to go, and he'll be good. But right now, he's not cleared. So
Plenty of time to get cleared, though.
Right.
Yeah, the Lions. Yeah, God bless them. It's my cross to bear. So Pat Fitzgerald extension, that's cool. Jesus, Josh Heupel, it's a bad pick for Tennessee's new head coach. I think UCF, and I saw some weird commentary from the Athletic today that UCF has some great job. Look, UCF was built on becoming like a pseudo SEC team. The kids that couldn't make it to SEC schools or were thought to be too small, not big enough, academic issues, they went to become a Golden Knight, and that's how they built that program. It's not what you want to bring to good old Rocky Top. I think the Heupel hire is really not that great. Randy Shannon already getting a 4-star prospect. Do you realize that Josh Heupel hadn't got a 4-star kid the whole time he was there?
Now I haven't been up to date with this. Is Randy Shannon the interim head coach, or he got the full title?
I think he's going to be ending up getting it. Yeah,
but I'm happy for him. I think that's great. I really do. I'm really happy for Randy. Talk about a guy who, went to Miami, got the head coaching job. He actually had a good staff with the budget that he was given. It wasn't the biggest budget at all, and he had a very good staff. He got the program rolling. They won some big games. But, you can't lose to USF, finish 5-7. There was one year he went 7-5, and I believe every single loss was like a touchdown.
Yeah, Miami has Manny's first year. There was like 3 losses by less than 7 points, wasn't there? 3 or 4.
Manny's first, wow. It was a lot of close games we lost, yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of close games before.
Yeah, it was a lot of close games.
So, I think that's something interesting. I think it's probably – they're going to keep him like we were talking a little bit offline. I think they're going to end up keeping him for about 2 years. He's going to be a transition coach. Danny White, we both agree, a good hire as their AD.
Great AD hire.
We'll see what happens there.
It's tough to win at Tennessee. It really is.
It is and it isn't. It's a weird spot to be in. They're certainly in the easier conference with Georgia and Florida only, but man, oh man, with these limitations on scholarships, probably not great. And then I wanted to wrap up something on Barstool. Somebody released Coach Saban's recruiting pitch.
Ooh.
And I don't know if anybody's seen that. It's well worth a look. Essentially, he's on there saying, look, we produce this much NFL talent. Every single day you're going against NFL talent. We've got rings. We win things here. Come here and play. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. But it illuminates to me 2 things. One, recruiting is just getting a little bit out of hand, a little bit out of sorts.
It's only going to get bigger, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's only going to get bigger and badder. And second of all, it illuminates something that I think Miami fans need to keep in mind, and that's what Coach Saban says is the process, right? You go back, you think about when he left the Dolphins to go to Alabama. The first thing he did was creating a great staff. The first thing he did. He had to have a staff of absolute killers, great coaches, great analysts. I want money for analysts. I want to see everything. I want all the voices in the room, and I will delegate, right? then we're going to kill recruiting. And there's a process. We're going to be efficient about everything we do. Everything I see from Coach Saban tells me that like he knows how to build a program. He's done it everywhere he's been. Toledo, Michigan State, LSU, Bama. Like he can get a team to respectability and success. That's what I want Miami to do. Is Manny Diaz the guy to do it? We'll see. But I want efficiency in what we see. Him being defensive coordinator, I have my doubts about the efficiency of that. But, you know, who's to say like, hey, if everybody starts rowing the canoe in one direction, you can get somewhere fast.
We'll see what happens, Stu. Manny Diaz, his legacy at Miami is being written right now, and we'll find out in a couple years, next year, how he will do. All I will say is Butch Davis, he got off to a rocky start. I think he was under some probations as well, loss of scholarships. The rest is history, my friend. One of the best head coaches in the game of football, because what he did at UNC was very impressive as well.
Well, we'll see.
If he take that Cleveland Browns job, I'm telling you, he could have done things.
I thought, hey, my aunt sold Butch a house, and I'll tell you, I think Butch was a good coach. Very still out for Manny, but we're going to give him time.
Great player evaluator. Great player evaluator.
Yeah, and Manny could be that. We got to give him some time because we certainly don't see the kids that he brings in playing yet. We see, UCLA transfers and stuff. So that's where we're at. We got to. I want to see how the recruiting class turns out. Still early.
It will be a top 10 class. I guarantee you, Stu.
And okay, so top 10 classes mean what? Right.
There is
Michigan gets top 10 classes. USC does.
Stu, look at top 10 classes and how many programs do it consecutively. There is a good outcome as to when you have top 10 recruits come in. If you have a recruiting class that's in the top 10, those programs usually have the most success.
So I will say
Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
You're talking about a different – you're talking about apples and oranges.
Georgia's always in the top 10. I just named 5 of the top 10 programs every single year.
So the players that Alabama and Georgia get
Oklahoma
are vastly different.
Georgia.
Oklahoma doesn't produce as much as you think. Like Oklahoma's always in the top 10, and they're always good, but they play in the Big 12. Half those teams don't even try at football. Okay? So it's
an
not
offense heavy.
difficult.
They're offense heavy. That's it. They're offense heavy.
Hey, guess where the game's going, Paul?
I agree. Oklahoma gets to the college football playoff and gets blown out every single time. I agree.
So when Ohio – so here's an interesting thing. They did a study on how many 4 and 5 stars were on active rosters, right? 4 and 5 stars on active rosters about a year and a half ago. And I heard somebody talking about it. Do you know how many Alabama had?
A lot.
Yeah, take a guess. On their 100-man roster, how many
50? Did you freeze or you just paused?
Yeah, no, you froze. What was the number?
Sorry. 50.
No, 72.
Fuck. God.
So Ohio State was second, right? They had about 59, 58. Miami needs to get to that point. That's how you build it. Like
I don't even know where we're at.
It's good to have. Right. It's good to have. Well, Michigan was at I think 20. Michigan State was at 4 at the time. Like that's unconscionable. That's just crazy. The star thing, I really don't. I don't subscribe to it, and we could get into a whole recruiting kind of thing. That's off on another tangent, but I get you want to have like top players, you want to be in that top 10, but when you start saying, well, if we can be in the top 10 5 years in a row, Georgia does it, we'll be like Georgia. That's not necessarily the case.
All right, Stu. Anything else for the good people listening right now?
Well, I'm wearing the shirt next week on the StuCast. A special guest from Barstool will be dropping in. We're excited about that. And, just chugging along, man. Just same old, just trying to get through the dog days of February.
Yeah, never bet on Big 12 basketball, man. Not good.
Tough look. Tough look.
Big
tonight.
12 basketball, I just think of like Bobby Huggins and West Virginia. That's all I think of. And like Blake Griffin.
West Virginia's got the dreadful Cyclones of Iowa State.
Like Shaka Smart is at Texas. He's way overrated. That guy, I'm sorry. He goes 18.
I don't like Shaka, but 16, you know what?
14.
I think Texas beats Baylor at home tomorrow.
Ooh.
I do. Shaka's back off COVID. I think Texas is healthy. I think it's the perfect setup. I'm gonna roll with Texas, and you know what? I'm gonna double down on Big 12 tomorrow. Give me West Virginia. Give me Texas. Let's roll.
All right, West Virginia's a little. I don't know. I can't trust West Virginia this season. They're hit or miss. They're either on.
Iowa State is horrific. They should go to Planned Parenthood. That's how bad they are. It is an abomination.
All right, Stu. It was a pleasure having you on. We'll definitely come back on next week. And always, all about the U.
Roll damn Tide.
You're not even an Alabama fan.
I'm not.